2 beginning of the Overwatch League's Countdown Cup. We get to see most of, if not all, of the teams play at this point. A lot of the meta had seemed to be mirroring what a lot of people were thinking with the Wrecking Ball, Diva, dive composition that's been strong, that's been used by the Shanghai Dragons and the Chengdu Hunters in the Summer Showdown. And as well as like some few outliers such as Atlanta playing how Atlanta always has played. A lot of teams kind of adapted that strategy using the Pharah, using the Wrecking Ball, and even occasionally switching out Pharah for Tracer to a lot of success. But first up on Friday, we get to see the London Spitfire start off against the Toronto Defiant. It's pretty obvious what's going to go on here because London hasn't been able to pick up a win, and I don't believe that we're going to see them pick up a win here against the Defiant. I believe it is very obvious that London's going to take the L here. I feel like they won't be able to have that large of a grasp on the meta, as at least not as big a one as Toronto will. It could be a closer matchup. It all just kind of depends on how well the Defiant are able to pick up this meta and be able to use it, or if they're even just going to continue playing the Reinhardt Rush compositions. But I do definitely see Toronto taking it regardless. Next, Vancouver versus Boston. Boston coming out really surprising last week, really strong, and I feel like they're going to carry that momentum into this match, and I feel like they're going to have a very, very one-sided game against the Vancouver Titans. Again, Vancouver very rarely taking maps off of teams, and when they do, it's only one. It's never a map 5 finish. It's always a 3-0 or a 3-1. And I see that being a 3-0 here on Friday. On Saturday, you have the Dallas Fuel taking on the London Spitfire. Dallas surprisingly losing to Paris, I feel. I feel it was a surprise because it is Dallas. Dallas is easily the strongest team in the league right now, just in general. So to see Dallas pick up the victory against the Shock was also a little surprising, because it kind of sets up how the top tier teams are going to look, with it being Dallas, Paris, and Shock, as well as Boston. At least that's how it looks so far. We could possibly see that change this week and next week. But Dallas easily going to take the 3-0 against London. Not really much to say. Dallas just really strong, and I don't feel like that London's going to be able to beat them no matter what they throw at Dallas. Next up is the Florida Mayhem and the Atlanta Reign. Atlanta being really surprising this past week, by bringing out the Orisa compositions against a ball meta, which was really surprising, especially with it working so well against Houston, them getting the 3-0 against them last week. Florida is looking really, really poor with Checkmate on the main tank. I feel that they should have probably just tried to sign up a Contenders main tank for the time being, like what Toronto has done with Aspire, and sign them short term until OG is willing to come back, rather than run Checkmate on it, because it's very clear that Checkmate is not good on the main tank role, especially not as good as OG was. Toronto versus Washington. Washington being a surprisingly poor team. I was expecting Mag to be a lot better of a ball but we did definitely see a good showing from Justice, and I feel like they're gonna not be one of the best teams out there. I feel like they're gonna definitely be a strong competitor, being probably the gatekeeper to the middle tier, or the gatekeeper between the higher tier and the middle tier, similar to what Atlanta was for the past couple of years. And I definitely see Toronto taking this close, but I don't see them beating the Justice. That leads us into Sunday for the North America, Boston and Florida. Again, Boston is a strong team, and I do expect them to do well in this match, but I also feel like we are going to see a close fight from Florida, just because of the inconsistency from Boston. I don't see Florida picking up the victory here unless Checkmate comes out with some really surprising play, or if OG comes back. I don't believe there is word of that. However, definitely is going to be a good match, I feel. I don't think that it's going to be a very one-sided match. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do see Boston taking this victory. Next is Atlanta and Dallas. Dallas has been picking up this ball composition really well, and I see them being able to just potentially even roll Atlanta here. Definitely going potentially one-sided, but I do think that it's going to be about the same as what all of the other Atlanta Dallas matches have been this year, being a absolute drawn out battle, close up to one another, being very close, and just all around a potential, having the potential for either team to pick up the victory. But I do think that since Dallas is the one playing this ball composition and Atlanta staying clear of it because Gator just doesn't play ball, he only plays the Reinhardt or the Orisa. I definitely do not see Atlanta winning this. I feel like this could potentially be one-sided, even just because of that fact. And finally, out of North America, we see the Vancouver Titans and the Washington Justice. I do see Vancouver picking up a game here. I don't see them taking much off of else out of this. But again, it's just the fact that Washington seemed to not be the absolute best last week, and I do see them potentially falling a bit here. Definitely not going to lose 2 maps, definitely not going to lose the game, but I do see them at least losing a map. To start the APAC region, we have Nixel taking on Fusion. Fusion is one of those. Fusion and Seoul are two teams that are either really good in a week or really bad in a week. And we saw last week that Philly was absolutely dominant this past week, 3-0ing the Shanghai Dragons as an example of that. But now we are entering into a new week, which means it is going to be a completely new Philadelphia Fusion, where I think that they're definitely going to lose to the New York Excelsior. My point still is shared here with Seoul. Another one of those teams that they are either dominant or they are really poor. Last week they were also really strong. So I do think that they're going to lose to Shanghai, just for the obvious point of that we saw is they were really good last week. They did absolutely phenomenal. They had really good matches. They had a really strong composition. And I think that they're not going to be able to hold this week. They haven't been able to show that they are able to consistently play well for multiple weeks in a row. And that's a trend that I see continuing here into the Countdown Cup. Chengdu versus Guangzhou. Chengdu is the one who has really kind of innovated the ball compositions, and I feel like they're still going to be the one that's strongest at it here, leading them to 3-0 the Guangzhou Charge. Then Sunday, we have the Fusion against the Dynasty. This is where I had a hard time really kind of deciding on how both teams are going to be able to compete here, because one of them have to win. It's not like they can go and tie. We're going to see an end. And I do see Philly taking the victory. I feel like they're going to still have the momentum from beating Shanghai last week. And it's going to lead them to be able to beat Seoul in a close map 5. Potentially even 6 maps. Depending on how it draws out. Literally. If they draw things on Assault. And then we have Chengdu and Nixel. Nixel being kind of proven that they are actually pretty good at these ball compositions. I think that they are going to be able to do well against Chengdu, but I do obviously see that Chengdu is going to win this. And that's really all I got to say about that. Chengdu definitely one of the strongest teams right now, and they're going to keep that momentum going into that match. Just like the Chengdu Charge map, Shanghai in Charge 3-0. Shanghai is going to be the leader here. They're definitely going to be going to Hawaii again. Well, they wouldn't be going to Hawaii, but they're going to be going to the actual Countdown Cup. Likely with either Philadelphia or Chengdu, in which we are going to see Shanghai do really well against either team, as well as the North America teams. And this is going to be kind of where Shanghai has that turning point, and they finally are going to show that they're going to be a top seed in the East region. And that does it for week 2. Can't wait to see what happens. We could definitely see some more upsets. I could see a few happening, but it's the Overwatch League. You never know what to expect.